There is some pretty shocking allegations against JPMorgan, but if you've been watching the show, you already know because we've been covering it. And again, the amount of inner fighting that's happening right now all over X and just within crypto in general is kind of giving these bear market vibes. So are we actually entering into these crypto bear market? Because again, price action is important, fundamentals are important, but also sentiment is important. The reason why sentiment is so important is because it kind of gives us insight as to what investors are feeling, what they're talking about, what they're seeing, and what they can potentially be doing with their portfolios. Cool thing about crypto is things are transparent, right? You can see everything for the most part on the blockchain. And now there's also some Zcash drama. There's some Cardano drama. I'm not going to touch on the Cardano drama today because I do need a little bit more information. And I just woke up not too long ago because I had the most wonderful night ever. Absolutely ever. But we're going to talk a little bit about the JPMorgan stuff, the Mr. E stuff, and the Zcash stuff, because there's a lot of drama with that. Plus, we're going to do price action. This is Sunday, and that's what we do is we cover price action. Also, shout out to Seahawks. Go Hawks, go Hawks. Before, though, I just want to let you guys know I had the best time ever last night. I got to see my favorite band in the whole entire world, and I didn't have to fly all the way overseas to do so. So I have to share that with you guys. If you guys don't know, I'm big in punk rock. I always have been. Super underrated stuff. I saw the Addicts last for Halloween. I actually got to see HBAR, which I've wanted to see them for years, and they rarely come out to the U.S. So I had to make the trip. Went to the Palladium. Interesting story. The last time I was at the Palladium before this is when I saw Dwight Yoakam. This was back in like 2014-ish when I got held up with Pew Pew at my job. That's a whole nother crazy story. But anyways, I'm WendyO. Welcome back to the O Show. Everything crypto every single day. But let's kind of talk about what's happening in the market. I'm going to make this as short as possible, primarily because it's the Lord's Day. But really quickly, I got to hang out with this gentleman over here from Coxborough. And the coolest thing about it was literally the coolest thing about getting to hang out with, chat and talk to him. I was up on the balcony. I got to see. But he's a member from the band, and he actually stood and took time while we were in the merch line to chat with everybody. Like every single person this is after the show because the line was super crazy long. He came up and he chatted with everybody that was buying something. He's like, "What's your favorite Coxborough song?" Blah, blah. And he was telling crazy stories, crazy stories. I loved it. I should have invited him back home to chat and talk about like all of it. But I love punk rock primarily because it's anti-establishment. The punk rock that's out today, they're a hot mess. But all the stuff from way back when, really anti-establishment, and that's me. I'm really much like live your best life, don't harm anybody, and the stuff that's happening today is not. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the current state of the crypto markets. And we're streaming on Tiki Taki. Good morning to you guys, to my YouTube babes, Rumble, Twitch, X. I normally don't stream on X on Sundays because too much drama, but I'm doing it today because why not? But shout out to Lawrence. Thank you so much for the $10 chat. I'm not super well rested, but I'm here. Good morning to Mr. R. Good morning to Mr. Dale, to the Spawnness, Lawrence again. And welcome Scott as an O Army member. How tall am I? I am 5'1", 5'1" and a half, baby. 5'1" and a half. Love to see it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that are happening in the market. Okay, we saw my Coxborough stuff. I had to love them so much. Okay, so there's lots of drama. I guess let's address the grayscale stuff right now. So there's a lot of, well, not the grayscale, but the Zcash stuff. So everybody's like super upset about Zcash and what's going on with that, because some people are like, your people are being paid. Why is it pumping? This coin was dead for a really long time. I don't care about those types of things. Everything is going to run when it's going to run. Okay. Everything's going to run when it's going to run. It is what it is. Now it's only a matter of time before certain things run. On this channel, we have talked heavily about, we talked heavily about Zcash for quite some time, way back when. One of the things that we were doing is we were kind of covering what Grayscale had in their trust before all of these Bitcoin. I just didn't want to mispronounce it. The Spawnness. I didn't want to mispronounce because I mispronounced everything. Anyways, Wendy, focus. I need a second cup of coffee. I have to eat and probably have a frozen pizza day because I do that. I also went, before this really quick, I went to this new like hotspot restaurant, which I normally don't do that in Hollywood. I forgot why I don't go to those. They're just like, they're not worth it. The food wasn't that great. The chicken wasn't seasoned super well. It was fine. I had a good time. Like, and actually I have a funny story about that venue. Too much stuff. One of the days when I drop my book, I'll explain my life story. It's just crazy. Anyways, though. Okay, so the stuff with Zcash, like where everybody's fighting and all kinds of stuff, this came from Coin Bureau. So let's listen to it really quickly. And I am going to cover, whoops, my badges from yesterday. I'm going to cover this probably again next week, so we get more time to do so, because I don't really want to be streaming today, but I am. So this came out yesterday or the day before. Everybody's losing their mind. Let's listen to it.
Sort of one of the fundamentals. Now, there's something else going on within the Bitcoin community that kind of non-crypto people need to know about. And that is ultimately, Vaneck has been around before Bitcoin.
Vaneck is talking about Bitcoin, one of the executives. And remember, traditional financial entities, they're predatory. Okay. The reason why Bitcoin and crypto were created was to give the underdogs, people like you and me, a way to combat against this type of unjust behavior, the discriminatory practices. So keep that in mind. All right. Let me cook. Please let me cook.
We will walk away from Bitcoin if we think the thesis is fundamentally broken. We don't right now. But you always have to look at the underlying technology. And the Bitcoin community has been asking itself about, is there enough encryption in Bitcoin? Because quantum computing is coming.
So quantum computing is a big thing. It is a big threat, no matter the way you look at it. Okay, when is it going to happen? When is it going to be a threat? There's people that say next year. There's people that say 20 years, 30 years, whatever that may be. But that's why it's so important about decentralization. When we talk about decentralization, it's about the ability for people to come, for really, really awesome, dope, intelligent people to come together from all over the place and work on Bitcoin. It's a decentralized entity. Vaneck, JPMorgan, Morgan Stanley, yourmom.com, predatory centralized entities. And we talked about that the other day with Mr. JE. And yes, they did say the same thing about Y2K. I was around for that. We were totally fine.
And then secondly, is there enough privacy in Bitcoin? And so a lot of Bitcoin.
Is there enough privacy in Bitcoin? Let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is semi-anonymous. All right. Bitcoin can be used to be, you can be semi-anonymous. I mean, if you're good enough at reading blockchain analytics, if you're good enough at understanding how that works, you can essentially kind of figure out where people are from. That's why Samurai Wallet was so important. Also, too, free Samurai Wallet. It is probably one of the most frustrating things to me to see all of crypto, especially the Bitcoiners, not really rally enough behind the Samurai Wallet devs the way that they did with Ross. And again, I'm happy that Ross is free. What he did, creating code and then people abused it and he got in trouble for it, not okay. But that's the same exact thing that's happening with the Samurai Wallet devs. So let's keep it consistent here, okay? He is one of us, or they are one of us, and they don't deserve to be in trouble any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form. So we need to do a little bit better rallying against that, okay? If you're a grown man on the internet asking me to borrow money, let's get it together, okay? Thank you.
OGs or maxis have been looking at Zcash. And Zcash,
What's that?
Zcash is a token sort of related to Bitcoin with a lot more privacy. Because of, the kind of garbage that we got about Bitcoin 4 years ago is it's like used to, for all bad illicit behavior, but now everyone kind of realizes when you move money around on the Bitcoin blockchain, you can see it. You can see it move from one wallet to another.
Yeah, you can, but you're semi-anonymous. That's the thing. And being semi-anonymous is okay, but some people do want more privacy. And I've been a big advocate for privacy. And while we're on the topic of privacy, Silk Sweet, absolutely awesome. They're on Hedera and they're going to be expanding to other chains as well. But it's a privacy dex. Like that's, we like privacy stuff. Okay. Now, with that being said, so should we have access to more private protocols or networks? Yeah, 100%. So the whole competition between Zcash and Bitcoin, it shouldn't really be there because they do two separate things. It's okay to be semi-anonymous, okay? I don't want people in my damn business. And again, when we look at Zcash, Bitcoin, and Cash is more anonymous than anything. Anything. And that's what the big banks and traditional financial entities love. They love that cash because it's, they could do terrible things with it, right? So with that being said, so everybody's mad about the whole Zcash thing. I do want to remind you, where's my grayscale? Did I close it out? Okay. we talked about what Grayscale was holding in their trust before all of the ETF hype. That was something we did. We kind of covered that when they would add, they would rebalance and whatnot. And one of the things I said, which I always say, is follow the money. Pay attention to what people with a lot of money are doing. And Grayscale was really kind of the first TradFi crypto entity out there. And they are not going to, Grayscale's not going to put money into something that's not going to do well. And it was always interesting that they had, they had a Grayscale trust. So if we really look at what's happening and kind of follow the money and remove the sensationalism, this is the Grayscale, Zcash Grayscale Trust. It's a publicly traded fund, a private placement fund. But the key thing here is inception date, 10/24/2017. Public inception date, 10/18/2021. So Grayscale's has had this asset, or utilize this as a product, financial instrument, for a really long time, since 2017. So they were holding for a really long time. They're holding a really long time. So when you see big money hold on to different assets, eventually it's going to move. And there's going to be different narratives every single cycle. Charles H. from Cardano, he talked about privacy bringing in somewhat of a 2026 run, which I agree with that sentiment. It really hasn't been done. And we're seeing a lot of other privacy protocols and coins and all these different things pop up. So I can see that being a catalyst for an altcoin season if we have it, if we're not entering like a real bear market. And again, this time is very different because we have the institutions coming in. Okay, so there's that. So me seeing Zcash pump it's not shocking. It's not surprising. Do I wish I would have bought? Yeah. And by the way, disclosure, I do have one Zcash. It's on a wallet somewhere. I don't know where it is. I lost the keys, but I had a gentleman, I want to say he was a part of the Zcash community. His name was Zebrahead, way back from 2018, came on the show for Valentine's Day. We used this like little gram thing. It was a product that they built. And they're like, hey, can we come on the show and test this? I was like, sure. So we did. And he sent me a Zcash. I don't know where it is. I don't know where the keys are. Moral of the story is, like, things are going to move when the time is right. Sometimes things take a really long time to move and sometimes they don't move. But that's the thing about investing. And that's a very, very good point from Ticky Tacky. Zcash would experience problems with regulators. Clarity Act would the exchanges be infected. So Monero was delisted from a lot of different crypto exchanges, okay? A lot of different crypto exchanges. So, and I said this on the internet, is on X, I says they can ban Zcash. They can ban anything privacy, because if you take a look at what's happening with Samurai Wallet, if you take a look what happened with Tornado Cash with Roman, they don't like privacy. They don't want you to have privacy. We have AI, we've got the CBDC, we've got all of that. So could it be banned? They could ban it whenever they want. Would I say that they're just spreading FUD? Everybody, this is the thing. The way that the internet works, the way that X works, you need sensational headlines. You have to create drama. And that's why we use clickbait titles on the show. Because, it gets you guys to come in, but the underlying content is not clickbaity. So like today, shocking final crypto bear market signal revealed. And then on X, insane JPMorgan Bitcoin allegations, which we're going to talk about that really quickly. Okay. So moral of the story is, this is why it's important to hear what people say, but listen to yourself. So you can hear what I say, you can hear what someone with the opposing agreement says, you can hear 30 other people, what they're saying. But at the end of the day, it is up to you, primarily because you're in crypto and we're trying to operate in this true decentralized economy, to think for yourself and to hear all these different things, look at your trading and investing journals, to note down what you see and say, let me go ahead and make an educated decision on all the information I've heard, right? And you guys are all intelligent enough to do that. All of you are. I believe in you. All of you are. So that's what I'm going to want you guys to do. And that's what we do on the show, is we really push you guys to do it out. Also, another really cool privacy thing is Brave. So if you're into privacy, there's your Brave browser, and you actually earn BAT for that. All right, now let's go ahead and get into the next piece of thing over here. This one might take me a little bit longer, but let's cover it. I don't even care. Also, too, really quickly, shout out to Baby K. Baby K is a channel supporter. So basically, they subscribe to me on X, but they've got a cute little meme coin. I told them I would give them a shout out. If you guys want to take a look at it, great. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But I told them I would give them a shout out because, again, oh my goodness, my baby daddy. I tell him. I'm streaming. I'll answer this later. But what is this for? Just for fun or for something for school? Okay. So check them out if you want to. We support people who support us. Absolutely love it. Now let's go ahead and talk. Let's turn the little. Let's move around a little bit. So what's happening with JPMorgan and with the whole Bitcoin community? Why are they mad? So I saw this tweet this morning. This is from Jack Mallers from, I think he's from Stripe, one of those places. Last month, JPMorgan Chase threw me out of the bank. It was bizarre. My dad has been a private client there for 30 plus years. Every time I asked them why, they said the same thing: we aren't allowed to tell you. Then I clicked on over here. They're basically talking about the Epstein bombshell and JPMorgan. This is the thing, okay? This is not news. So I'm going to kind of do my best to summarize what's happening with this, because it's a little bit frustrating for me. But they're saying that JPMorgan is terrible, blah, 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 blah. This is the thing. If you want to relate JPMorgan and Epstein together, that's fine, okay? But I want to just show you this. JPMorgan was Epstein's primary bank for approximately 15 years until it ended the relationship in 2013. So JPMorgan was facilitating terrible things for 15 years. The bank handled over $1 billion in transactions for him, some of which were later identified as possible linked to this. The core controversy comes from accusations the bank ignored internal warnings and overlooked numerous red flags. They 100% did. There was a lawsuit. The lawsuit was only for a $290 million class action lawsuit for approximately 200 of the survivors. $75 million settlement with the U.S. Virgin Banks, whatever. So are these two things related, or are we using it to further sensationalize the story? Well, this was the best take that I saw from the Bitcoin community on this, and this is from BitPain. Basically an open letter to Jeff Bezos. He says he's going to be canceling all of his accounts and divest. So shout out to BitPain and canceling all the accounts and divesting completely from JPMorgan Chase, because Jamie Dimon is and forever will be E's banker. And then all of the stuff that's happening with Saylor and strategy and with Jack Mallers and all those types of things. So I appreciate the way he phrased this. It was the best way to phrase it, because at the end of the day, and I'm going to be very, very frank with you guys. Nobody cares about survivors. Nobody does. Women and children are used as political plays. And if people cared about survivors, then the amount of these types of things happening would be decreased drastically, because they would put in really, 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 really harsh punishments. So there's that. But I appreciate the way he said that, and I'm glad that people are finally rallying together to speak out about this, because it's horrific stuff. Again, survivor here, I'm going to speak my mind about stuff. I had nothing to do with those things, but whatever it is. Also, too, if you do want to help survivors, you can donate to the House of Ruth. So that's kind of what's going on with that. So it's really nice to see the Bitcoin community rally against disgusting people, number one, and number two, to really kind of take control and say, hey, this is what the big banks are doing. We're not with it. But JPMorgan Chase has always been anti-Bitcoin and crypto. Jamie Dimon don't like it, doesn't like crypto, all those types of things, okay? Even Grok said this is going up 50 times. You think I'm going to listen to AI? This is the thing with AI that a lot of people love to miss, okay? AI pulls from information that's posted on the internet. So if there's 1,000 people saying pump, 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 Grok or any AI system is going to pull that information and say, oh, it's going to pump. And that's because it's from a pool of people that are saying it's going to pump. So I don't care what AI says. I don't. AI's bias. It's not decentralized. So if you want it to go up, Epstein is not Satoshi. Okay, I made a video about it, and I'm going to clear that up again for you. So the only way that I would agree that Epstein is Satoshi, and I've covered again, I have to cover it again today, is that if there's early, like 2008, 9, 10, even 11 transactions of him, okay, if you can find those on Bitcoin from the way early days, then I would kind of, maybe want to listen to what was going on. But again, when we pull up what happened with him and with the with Epstein and the whole Bitcoin thing, he funded. Oh, shout out to Brody. Thank you. So he funded this little club at MIT back in like 2014 or 2017. Okay. And the club did make a donation to Bitcoin core development. So did he fund Bitcoin directly or indirectly? Yes, but no. We don't say happy holidays over here. We say Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving. I have I posted a HBAR short for you yesterday, so it's there. But back to that. So if there's early transactions actually showing him interacting with Bitcoin, like in the early days, okay, cool. But just because he made a I'm not inclusive. Just because he made I'm just kidding. I am. I don't care. I just want people to be happy. But if he made early donations and all kinds of stuff in the early days, okay, yeah, I'd look at this a little bit more. But if you really just kind of do a quick Google search, you'll see that they did not. Shout out to Blue. He's not Satoshi. He donated. And again, pretty much anybody can donate. Okay. So there's that. So all you got to do, guys, we're very smart people, right? We're smart, we're educated. We got cell phones, we got all these things. We can do quick Google searches, okay? We can do quick Google searches and get correct information the palm of our fingertips. So use it. Okay? God gave you a brain and Elon gave you the internet. I don't know, whatever. All right, so with that being said, so Bitcoin maxis are now pissed off at JPMorgan because it's impacting their bottom line. I'm okay with that. All right. Now they're speaking out about the Epstein thing. Great. I'm okay with that. I wish we would have seen that energy a lot earlier on, back in 15 years ago. But we didn't. That's okay. Too late. Never late than never. So now we see a lot of people that are pretty pissed off about stuff. Now, this was another thing that came out regarding a coordinated attack on MicroStrategy. So let's go ahead and watch this little clippy clip.
All right, so some of the comments online, people are talking about some of the previous videos and the timing on JPMorgan, okay, and when they actually increased the margin requirement on MSTR. So let's look at that, right? So I have an email here from JPMorgan on July 7th, okay? That is when they did a firm-wide increase in the margin requirement for MSTR. Now, let's look at that, right? So we have a chart here, right? And I overlaid the vol on that chart. Let's look at July 7th, this line here, okay? Now, on July 7th, the 90-day vol was going down between June and July. The 60-day vol is going down between June and July, continues to trend down. Stock price is stable, goes up for a bit, but now look, as they put this firm-wide margin requirement increase on MSTR, it goes up, but then it pretty much precipitously goes down, right? People had to liquidate that security. Now, there is no risk model at that time that would have told JPMorgan they should be increasing the margin requirement. This is a coordinated attack.
Okay. So do I agree with what he's saying? I do need a little bit more information. Again, still waking up. But I think that this probably is true. I do need a little bit more information about it, though. So JPMorgan has been notorious for debanking people that use crypto. So people are pissed off about that. They're trying to get in and, mess with MicroStrategy, which we can argue all day long that that's just kind of what traditional finance does. Hedge funds come in. We saw that all this happen with GameStop, okay? So hedge funds come in, all these entities come in. It's just a big wiener swinging contest to see who's got more capital, who could liquidate each other, all of those types of things. That's kind of what's happening. So then the FUD also came out, which we covered this yesterday into extent, but the FUD came out with MicroStrategy and MSCI. We did have a stream on it. I'm going to do it again with you guys. So MSCI, or Morgan Stanley Capital International, is a financial services company that provides investment tools, data, and research. Most notably, it's widely used stock market indexes. And according to Bitcoin Magazine and Decrypt, basically forced selling pressure on Master could spill over to Bitcoin. Index inclusion would force ETFs and passive funds, Vanguard, BlackRock, etc., to automatically sell Master shares to rebalance, creating a cascade of 2.8 to 8.8 billion in outflows. Master trades at a 2 times premium to its NAV tied to Bitcoin holdings, so it could depress the stock by 20 to 40%, etc. So this is the thing with Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. He's very good at his business, very good at his business. He knows how to work the stock market. He knows how to raise capital. He knows how to do all these things. However, is it ethical that they're doing that? They're basically using the money printer to buy a finite asset. Is it ethical or is it unethical? I personally don't like it, but people do it, and it's ethically and legal. This is why we always say growth ethically and legally within the constraints of the law. Okay, so there's that. Now, if MicroStrategy goes down, Bitcoin's going to get absolutely wrecked, because they own so much Bitcoin. All right. So there's all this talk that's going on because remember the whole MSCI thing that basically MSCI, they're suggesting that DATs may resemble investment funds more than operating businesses, so that could potentially cause a lot of FUD to MicroStrategy, et cetera. And they're going to be coming out with a decision, I want to say on December or January 17th, 16th or 15th, 2025. So if the MSCI wants to basically reclassify what MicroStrategy is doing, funds and trusts are ineligible for major MSCI equity benchmarks. Okay, so there's that. So that could cause another big drama. There's all kinds of drama happening. So moral of the story is Michael Saylor came out and he's talking about this. I don't know how old this clip is, but basically, as long as Bitcoin goes up 1.25% a year, we can pay the dividend forever. If Bitcoin stops going up, we got 80 years to figure out what we're going to do about it. So basically, he's saying we're fine for the next 80 years. Are they in fact fine for the next 80 years? I don't know. But that's kind of what the drama is happening. So people are pissed off about Zcash and Bitcoin and JPMorgan and debaking and all these different things. That's what's happening in the market. Okay. This too shall pass, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Me personally, I'm just cold chilling. I'm holding my Bitcoin. People are, especially people on TikTok. Oh my God, Dan Penna said if we found out who is behind Bitcoin, guess what? We know what JPMorgan and Chase were doing. We know who they were affiliated with, but people still use them as banking entities. So sit down, please. We know the terrible things that happen with cash, but it doesn't stop people from using these traditional financial entities. Okay? Hello? I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I'm not. Could there be drama with Saylor and MicroStrategy and all these, the TradFi circle jerk? Yeah. Is Bitcoin going to be okay? Yes, because it's a decentralized entity. Will it be impacted by quantum computing? That I don't know. But anyways, Zcash is up. People are mad about that too. Get your bags up, baby. Make as much money as ethically as possible. Take care of your families. All right. Now as far as Bitcoin goes, I'm just going to take a look at Bitcoin because I'm tired and I want to eat a frozen pizza and whatever else comes my way today. All right. So Bitcoin currently dropped about 35% at about 80. I don't know why I put that in my ear. About $81,000, currently trading at $87,000. A 58% drop. Excuse me. A 50% drop in Bitcoin. Hold on, where we go? Would be $62,000, which kind of aligns with the EMA 200. An 80% drop in Bitcoin would be $24,000. There are some people calling for that. I'm not calling for that. A 70% drop would put Bitcoin at about $34,000. So that's kind of what we're seeing with the markets. What's kind of going on over here. So now taking a look at Bitcoin on the weekly, we broke down below. I think that's the EMA 100. I just put these on. Yeah. EMA 100. We broke down below. I'm currently trading above it right now, which is good. Also, if you want to trade with me, we are on iTrust. We are on Kraken. Links are going to be down below. And Ledger's also having a deal right now. The link's down below for that if you want that. It's up to you. Anyways, so as far as Bitcoin goes, we're kind of chilling. We're above the EMA 100 here on the weekly. We need to close above it. We definitely need to close above it. Okay. Very, 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 very important stuff. Taking a look at the daily looks like trash. However, Bitcoin is rebounding and it does look like it wants to retest $89,000, which is going to be the EMA 9. You're starting to see a slight curve here with the EMA 9, which is good. It's indicating some nice upward movement. But again, we need we need a nice little like this and to flip onto support. Now, $106,000 is going to be key as that's where everything is kind of holding on to right now. When we look at the big chart over here for Bitcoin, my big daddy Chad chart, we need that close above $86,000. We really, really, really do. Just because we've been playing this price over here. If Bitcoin does continue to dump, I think that $74,000 would be a nice little bottom area. But hopefully we did bottom out and we get like that $85,000 bottom over here. As far as altcoins go, I'm not going to cover these too terribly much right now, just because we're not doing great. We're not doing great. Yeah, people use cash as well to be bad. But moral of the story is Bitcoin is fine today. The big boys, MicroStrategy, JPMorgan, everybody, all the big Bitcoiners are going to be wiener swinging until all of this subsides a little bit, which is fine, great, fantastic. You guys could do what you want to do. Bitcoin, I believe in long term. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. Could quantum computing impact it? Yes. When is that going to happen? We don't really know. As far as Zcash goes, is Zcash going to dethrone Bitcoin? It's not going to dethrone Bitcoin. They do two separate different things. Just like you can't really compare XRP to Solana, or you can't compare Hedera to XRP, different things like that. Okay. And also next week, we'll talk about the ISO 222 standards and whatnot. So moral of the story is, if you watch the show and you paid attention, or you pocket watch Grayscale and saw that they had that trust since 2017, you would be doing well and you would own Zcash. Anyways, sending y'all love and light. WendyO is out. Bye, babies.